Hey, it's Drybear. Today we got a major announcement, some philosophy changes at Blizzard, and some pretty big news that we've been waiting for quite a while. So today I'd like to talk about the two things that are changing that they have announced coming in February 14th, that specific patch reset, and we'll dive into the details here. As always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hi. Let's begin with the biggest news of all. And I personally am pretty excited about this. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are wondering about this. So today we got the news that Cross-Realm Mythic Vault of the Incarnates begins February 14th with that specific reset. And they've given some background here. So first I'll read through their response and I'll talk through my perspective on this and some background on why they do this in general. So they say, with the weekly reset in each region, the week of February 14th, which is 2 weeks, we will enable cross-realm groups in Mythic difficulty Vault of the Incarnate. So right now, and this has always been the case, on the first start of the season in a new tier, you cannot, if you're gonna enter in Mythic, everyone has to be on the same server. This previously was same server and same faction. With Dragonflight, they opened up cross-faction. So if you're on the same server, you can be cross-faction and you can go into Mythic, but typically until the top Hall of Fame is filled out, usually it would be the top 100 guilds. Once 100 guilds have locked in their slot for beating Mythic Raszageth, the end of the tier, then it would open up and say, okay, now anyone can group from anywhere and you can join anything and clear it out. This represents a shift in philosophy that has evolved over the last few raid tiers, like I mentioned, where we've seen the pace at which the Hall of Fame filled up for both factions become unaligned with the timing that we would have chosen for players at large, which is exactly what happens, right? If you say that it has to be the first 100 guilds, if the tier is particularly difficult, the difficulty of Mythic being unlocked across server, across realm, takes longer. So depending on the difficulty of the raid itself, you have to wait longer to be able to be a solo player, a pug, to join a Mythic group on a different server than you would normally. We will still maintain a Hall of Fame for this and future raids. To qualify for it in cross-realm groups, you must simply have at least 16 players from the same guild taking part in the raid. With future raids, we're looking into a more scheduled approach for when cross-realm Mythic difficulty becomes available. We want to keep our options open for the timing to vary since we don't yet know the circumstances we might observe in the future, but we intend to provide further announcements like this one to give players time to reorganize. So what was super challenging about this is it locked a lot of players out, right? So if you're a solo player or you have a small group, maybe you're a group of friends of like 2 to 5 or 2 to 8, you would either have to get on the same server and join a guild and then be able to run with that guild in Mythic, or you would just have to wait for Cross-Realm to open so that you could pug it. This always kept a lot of people out. The reason, and they've never actually, as far as I can find, as far as I can remember in playing WoW ever since it came out, I've never heard Blizzard actually give a direct reason as why they've always done it this way. And I think it's because they like having the Hall of Fame be pristine, as in, you don't get this like super insane, like you wouldn't get someone who gets like, maybe they get Mythic World first, and then the next reset, they join someone else's group or they pug in someone else's group, they go across realm, they become a free agent, and then they help people clear it. So it's kind of like this big lockout. So they usually did this to make it so that, one, it drove people to be on the same server together. 2, it drove people to be in the same guild together, and it drove guild signups, because the only way to really do Mythic progression before 100 guilds cleared it in the world was to join a guild and be on their server in order to do Mythic. And I think this also locked a lot of people out of doing Mythic in general. And I'm one of those people, because because I change games a lot, I don't usually lay down roots and join a guild, or, I'm a content creator, so I have my own schedule. So I usually will try to make my own groups and pug everything, get it all done, use it as, community as part of my chat. And then we'll just go on and do the next thing. So I usually will wait until Mythic difficulty opens up for pugging, and then I'll pug it. And I like being able to kind of push through difficulty tiers like that with people that previously hadn't met each other. I think that's a fun challenge. It's cool that they added this element here, where when they do these timed unlocks, so say it's a difficult raid tier and only 30 guilds have cleared it by the time the unlock happens on a schedule. they're saying that you can still qualify for the Hall of Fame on that tier if 16 of the players or 80% of the raid is still from the same guild. So you can actually say you have a guild of like, 20, 25 people. Sorry, my eyes freaking out. 20, 25 people, and you have a core roster, and only 15 or 16 of those people can show up every single time to do progression. And you swap people in and out, whatever, but you can never actually field a full team of 20. Or maybe you only have 3 healers and no one else in the guild wants to switch to healer. You can't find any healer, so you're like at 19 out of 20 and you need that healer. This allows you to pug it. And if you're a free agent and you're someone who's, practiced and prepped and ready and you don't want to join a guild and you want to play solo or play on your own time, you can still pug it. And you probably will still be in the logs and everything for the Hall of Fame, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be locked out. So as long as you have 80% of the total being in the same guild, you can still Hall of Fame and you can still do cross realm, which is cool. And I think one of the reasons, well, I think there's two for. One, I think this was kind of just a dated philosophy. It's one of those things that just, it was this way because it always has been. But I think the big driving force in creating pressure for them to make this change was the loss of World of Warcraft China. If you didn't know, the WoW region in China has been shut down. All servers have been closed out. They lost that partnership, and now there's no Chinese players. So because of that, then I think the Hall of Fame is now slower. Because if you say the requirement is 100 guilds have to clear it, and you just lost one of the major competitive regions in World of Warcraft, then it's going to take longer for 100 guilds to clear it. So it just takes too long now, and they had to reassess it. So luckily, we're getting February 14th, cross-realm Mythic. It's already cross-faction. So no matter what faction you're on, what realm you're in, starting on Valentine's Day, you will be able to join a Mythic in Mythic Vault of the Incarnates in the pre-game or in the pre-made groups finder, pug it, solo queue into it, and get Mythic progress without being on the same server or without being in the same guild, which is pretty cool. And the second news that we've gotten is Conquest and Valor are to become uncapped. So Conquest and Valor are your premium currencies, not in like a paid sense, but they are the best currencies for PvP in Conquest, and Valor for Mythic Plus. So you get these currencies and these give you the best gear, the most competitive gear. Valor allows you to upgrade your Mythic Plus drops. Conquest, you get your best Gladiator level gear from these. And previously they had, even now they have them capped. So not only can you get only a certain amount per week, you can only hold a certain amount total, which means you can't sit on it. So it takes a while. And the reason they have these systems is they want people to actually like progress and get gear at the same time. They don't want people to play more than other people and get more in a very significant sense. So they've capped it. But there's been a lot of discussions around whether this is necessary, whether this is even paced properly. You can usually only get like one piece the first week and then maybe one the second week, or you save and you get a two-hander or something the second week, or even the third week. There's always a difference there. So luckily we're getting it. So with the reset the 14th, along with the Mythic cross-realm change, they're removing the caps of Conquest and Valor that can be earned and held. And this is just going to be for the rest of Dragonflight Season 1. So if you're just coming into it, or you have an alt or something that you want to catch up, you can just jump in and you can grind out PvP, get your Conquest gear. You can grind out Mythic Plus, get your Valor, upgrade that gear, get your IO higher, and then you don't have to worry about having that big lockout, even though you're already behind everyone else. And then if you still have to wait for that slow cap lockout, then you're just going to keep being behind everyone. This means that that's going to be lifted and you'll be able to catch up nicely. So that's the big announcements that we got today. I wanted to make a video about that. So let me know what your thoughts are. Are you excited about doing Cross Realm? Are you still planning to do Mythic Vault of the Incarnates? If so, let me know. And also, how do you feel about Valor and Conquest being uncapped? Should it have been sooner? Should the caps even exist in the first place? Let me know. As always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hi. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.